So guys, it's another week and we've got a bunch more championship transfer rumours to go over. Let's jump into it. Welcome back to another video on the channel, guys. As always, if you do go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. If we get it 350, that would be massively appreciated. We've had quite a few done deals go through since we last made a video, so we'll go ahead and round up all of those, as well as going over all the latest transfer rumours which are going on around the championship. As always, leave your thoughts down below, but without any further ado, let's jump in to talk about some of these completed deals. First of all, let's go to Rob Atkinson, who's made his move over to Bristol City. Now, we picked him out as one of the highest performing League One players from last season in a video we did a couple months ago, and we did sort of speculate that there would be quite a bit of championship interest around him if he manages to make that step up to championship life as good as the last Oxford United defender in Rob Dickie did. Then I think Bristol City have got a fantastic player on their hands here. Only 22 years old, he was named in the League One EFL team of the season for last season. It probably was in a bit of a position where they needed to strengthen. You know, they're coming off the back of a season where they've just conceded 68 goals. He fits the bill and he's a young player that they can continue to develop. So yeah, I quite like that deal. Emiliano Marcondes has ended up at Bournemouth. Now, there was quite a bit of interest in Marcondes on the channel previously. We spoke about the links he had to the likes of Nottingham Forest and Barnsley, but it is to Bournemouth he goes, obviously, with Scott Parker and the sort of very possession-heavy orientated football that he's going to be wanting to be playing at Bournemouth in this next season. It's important that those midfielders are comfortable on the ball and look to play in between the lines and things like that. So yeah, I can see why Marcondes would be a decent fit into this Bournemouth side. Obviously, he has had his injury troubles in the past, but should he stay fit, I think he's a good option there. Martin Waghorn has moved over to Coventry on a free transfer. Now, if you've not already seen it, make sure to check out last time's video we did on basically the downfall of Derby County and how things have gone so wrong for them financially in recent years. I mean, this is another prime example of that. Derby paid around £5 million for Martin Waghorn just 3 years later. 3 years on from that, and he's now departed on a free transfer. They're not going to get a penny of that reinvestment back for Waghorn. Last time round, despite his sort of heroics on the final day, he did have a fairly inconsistent season for Derby where he scored just 5 goals for them. If Coventry can rekindle the player that Waghorn used to be a couple of years ago, they got a good player on their hands there. Obviously, on a free transfer, it's a fairly risk-free transfer there. Coventry also completed the signing of Simon Moore, who comes over from Sheffield United. The 31-year-old goalkeeper will look to add a bit more experience to that area of their squad. Benicophobe has joined Millwall on loan for the season. We covered this one last time as a rumour, but this has since been confirmed. Millwall obviously in need of firepower. That was shown by last season. Their top scorer was Jed Wallace, and apart from him, no one else got into double figures or anywhere near to double figures, to be honest with you. So Afobe will be the player who they're going to be looking towards for the goals. Obviously, from Stoke's point of view, this transfer hasn't worked at all, and I believe that this loan move will then take him to the end of his contract at Stoke. But with Rowett and Afobe previously working together, this may not be a bad move for Millwall if they can get him playing. George Seville is back at Millwall. He left the Den in 2018 to go to Middlesbrough for a fee of around about £8 million. I can't imagine that Millwall have paid anywhere near that to get the player back, but it makes a lot of sense really, with Millwall no longer having Ryan Woods after he's obviously ended up at Birmingham. They were in need of a little bit more in that midfield, so I imagine that Saville will come into that role. In his 3 years at Middlesbrough, he made 118 appearances, scoring 12 goals in the process. Yeah, I think that one's a decent fit. Middlesbrough completed the signing of Wycombe striker Uche Pizu. He may not have been the most sort of like prolific striker in the Championship last season. He scored 6 goals for Wycombe, but he was a massive handful for Championship defenders. You know, I remember when Preston went up against him and he absolutely battered them for sort of 90 minutes and stuff like that. So with his sort of strength and hold-up play, if Middlesbrough do get the right players playing in and around him, I think he'll be a very effective player for them. Millwall also completed the signing of Lee Peltier. He's coming over on a free after his contract had expired at West Brom. The 34-year-old has previously worked with Neil Warnock at Cardiff, and so those two obviously already have the understanding between each other. Bristol City have completed the signing of Andy King. We spoke about this one in previous videos as he was training with the squad. Obviously, the former Leicester man is linking up here with Nigel Pearson once again. Peterborough have completed the signing of Josh Knight. He comes over from Leicester City. We also mentioned this one last time round, but as a rumour, and it has now since been confirmed. I think this ticks a lot of boxes for Peterborough. They were looking for some more defensive reinforcements. He's quite versatile. He can play at the back or further forward into midfield. Alex Moat has completed his move to West Brom. This one had been rumoured for quite some time, and this may go down as the best bargain buy of the summer. Alex Moat on a free to West Brom is great business here. Anyone who got Alex Moore at the end of the day, if he wasn't going to sign that contract extension with Barnsley, was ultimately going to be getting a great deal here. After last season as well, West Brom especially were in need of refreshing their midfield a little bit, and I think that Mo's proved himself to be one of the best in the league in this position. Joel Perreault has joined Swansea City. He joins for a fee of around about £1 million, which could rise up to £2 million. After AU's departure, Swansea were in need of a little bit more firepower, and this is one of the deals which I'm sure has got a lot of the Swansea fans excited for next season. And we've seen Stoke City complete a deal for Norwich City midfielder Mario Varancic. Now this one makes a lot of sense after the most recent departure of John Obi Mikel from Stoke. He's going to slot into that midfield, really classy sort of player on the ball, Varancic, isn't he? You know, we know all of what he's about after these last few seasons with Norwich. Last time round he was a little bit sort of in and out of that squad, wasn't he? But still put up good numbers, scoring 3 goals and getting 5 assists. Great set piece taker. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he fits in at Stoke. But there are some of the completed deals which have gone through in the past few days. Now without any further ado, let's hop into some transfer rumours. So let's start out by going back to Josh Windass. We've mentioned his name quite a few times on these videos so far, but another club has now reportedly entered the race in contention for Windass this summer, with QPR being the latest championship team who is interested in his services going into next season. We've already seen Millwall have 2 bids knocked back for him. Birmingham have been another club who have been interested. The £5 million price tag was talked down last time, but it would be interesting to see at what price Sheffield Wednesday are tempted to sell him at. But with the amount of clubs interested at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if there gets to be a bit of a bidding war on this one. Brentford are reportedly interested in Nottingham Forest defender Joe Worrell. Now, as we mentioned loads of times on the channel so far, Burnley have had quite long-standing interest in Joe Worrell, but Burnley have already made a move in this transfer window in signing a centre-half from the Championship. Instead of going for Worrell, they went with Nathan Collins at Stoke. Now, should James Tarkowski leave in this window, Burnley will definitely be in the market for at least one more centre-half. So Worrell to Burnley could still be on the cards, but Brentford are the latest club to be mentioned in contention for him. From Brentford's point of view, we have seen them go down this sort of similar route before. They are certainly not afraid to spend money when they need to as well. Forest fans will be hoping he stays, but Worrell's definitely going to have options this summer. Now the next one's going to get a lot of people talking. That's Harry Wilson, who is being linked with a move to Swansea City on a potential loan deal. Now, if you cast your mind back to last season, at one point Swansea, I believe, were interested in taking Harry Wilson on loan for this season, but in the end the loan fee was a bit too much, and obviously Cardiff ended up paying that, and he went there for this season. He didn't have the most sparkling of seasons by his standards, you know, if we compare it to how well he did at Derby and things like that, but given the circumstances, how the first half of the season didn't exactly go to plan for Cardiff, he still did alright, you know. 18 goal contributions is nothing to be sniffed at whatsoever. So if Swansea were serious about this one, that would be a really interesting deal, wouldn't it? You know, you could imagine him slotting into that number 10. You know, you could imagine him slotting into that number 10 position. He can either play there or out wide. Got an absolute wonderful left foot on him. Definitely one to keep your eye on. And staying with Swansea, they're also been linked with the move for Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, last season, it was a shame that his loan spell got cut short and he picked up that injury, because we didn't really get to see all too much of him in a Swansea shirt. But from the few sort of glimpses that we did see, he looked like a really capable player. I remember Preston playing Swansea at Deepdale on the opening day of the season, and he was absolutely brilliant. He was their standout player that day. Swansea fans, if you had to pick between Harry Wilson on loan for this season or Morgan Gibbs-White for a full season, which way do you go? Who do you pick in that situation? But I mean, in the ideal situation, to get both of them, what a team that would be. Bournemouth midfielder Philip Billing is currently being linked with a move to Norwich City. Now, should Billing depart, maybe we could see Marcondes slot into that number 10 role, and it would be a bit of a natural replacement and things like that. But listen, I'm sure Bournemouth will be keen to keep hold of Billing, given his performances in the second half of the season when he was given a little bit more freedom by Woodgate to play a little bit further up the pitch. He was one of their more pivotal players towards that running, you know, him and Danjuma especially. I can see why the interest is there from Norwich. He ticks a lot of boxes in terms of what they're probably after in the number 10, and at around 10 million you'd think that Bournemouth would probably be tempted at that price. Jordan Lawrence-Gabriel is being linked with a move back to Blackpool, with the Seasiders keen on taking him back. He spent last season out on loan at Blackpool, where he was sort of competing with that right back spot with Ollie Turton, which funnily enough Huddersfield are also being linked with a move for him despite signing Blackpool's right back Ollie Turton. So it could be those two once again, and Pip on top top of it. I don't know what that says about Pippa's future maybe, if Huddersfield are actually still after another right back. Pippa, we've spoken about previously, is potentially having links elsewhere and things like that. But then there's the other side of this as well, where the player may actually want to stay at Forest and fight for, you know, his chance in that team this season. So yeah, that's going to be a story that develops over the next few weeks, I think. West Brom goalkeeper Sam Johnson is being linked with a few Premier League moves, and the latest club he's been linked to is Arsenal. Now, Sam Johnson, absolutely terrific for West Brom last season. He made more saves than any other Premier League goalkeeper last season with 166. It would be a bit of a stretch if he was to stick around at West Brom. You know, they'd be all the more better for it, but he's a Premier League quality goalkeeper. He's obviously currently away with the England squad. You would imagine that West Brom would be looking for good money though. Derby situation has finally been resolved, or at least some of it has. They have now at least got the confirmation that they will be playing in the Championship going into next season, so they can at least start to plan ahead for this upcoming season, and Derby have a whole lot of work to do. If you've not seen that video that we did, like I mentioned before the other day, make sure to go and check it out. Tendon Menji is being linked with a move back to Derby for another season-long loan. Obviously spent the last half of last season on loan at Derby there. For defenders at the moment, Derby are looking really thin, so yeah, the sooner they start making some moves, the better here. Now, Harvey Elliott is unlikely, to say the least, to end up back in the Championship next season after how well he did out on loan at Blackburn, and there are some rumours circulating that club wants him to be a part of that Liverpool squad going forward into next season, you know, as someone to come off the bench and things like that. But another loan move could be on the cards, this time to a Premier League club. Blackburn, I think, were interested, you know, rightly so in taking him back, but that's probably not feasibly happening anymore. And two of the Premier League clubs that have been spoken about in terms of bringing Harvey Elliott in on loan for this season are two of the newly promoted teams. Watford and Brentford have both been mentioned in this one so far. Now, obviously, both Brentford and Watford already sort of have players who play in that position, you know, out on that right hand side and things like that. But if you were able to get a player as good as Harvey Elliott, you try and do your best to sort of accommodate him into the side, don't you? His creative stats last season in the Championship were absolutely phenomenal, especially given his age. Brentford and Watford fans, would you want Harvey Elliott next season? Let me know. Wolves have been linked with the move for Fulham fullback Anthony Robinson. We'll probably see a few of the Premier League clubs now that have come down to the Championship making a few of these sort of sales over the next few weeks heading into this next season. I quite like Robinson, even from his time at Wigan, you know, and we covered him on the Championship and that sort of stuff. And to be fair to Fulham, if they were to let him go to Wolves for a decent sort of fee, they already have Joe Bryan in there, who's like a more than capable Championship fullback. He's probably in, you know, one of the best at this level, to be honest with you. So it wouldn't be the biggest hammer blow if they were to lose Robinson. West Brom have been linked with a move for Chelsea midfielder Trevor Chalobah. We've seen him out on loan in the Championship a couple times now with Ipswich and Huddersfield. He's pretty versatile in the positions he can play, either at fullback or into midfield. He's most recently been out on loan in France for Lorient, and we've already seen West Brom start to reshape their midfield with Alex Mowat coming in, and this could be another indication of them continuing to do that. Okay, Yokeslu has also been linked with a permanent move to West Brom. This would be some coup if they managed to pull this one off. I don't know how likely it would be because there has already been Premier League interest in the player, but he did really well for West Brom and from his loan spell there last season. You know, was a player who looked like he could cut it at Premier League level, so to have him in the Championship would be a real statement of intent if they were to pull this one off. But like I said, with Premier League interest, I'm not sure how feasible it would be. One potential departure from West Brom could be fullback Darnell Furlong, who's been linked to a couple clubs at the moment, with both Burnley and Brentford being linked with the player. He's still at a decent age, Furlong, where he can, you know, continue to develop his game. He's only 25. One of the players that look the most likely to depart from Sheffield United this summer is midfielder Sander Berge, with both Atalanta and Napoli being interested in a loan move for the midfielder for this season. However, it has been said that his preferred move would be to stay in England. Arsenal have another club who have been mentioned in contention for the midfielder. More than likely he's going to end up leaving, it's just a question of where. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Those are some of the most recent transfer rumours which are going around the Championship. As always, do get all your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.